Hi everyone, Chad, your friendly Balsa USA builder here. I'm out at
Lee.
Lee. I'm out at Windy City Warbirds and Classics. Decided we'd do a how-to video on weathering some Spandau machine guns. We got them this far. I got the black painted on. Just want to talk a little bit about details that would be on the Spandau. They would be like a satin black finish. A lot of times they would have them oiled. They'd be well maintained being on the aircraft. They wouldn't use grease, as grease at higher altitudes can freeze up, get really thick, and freeze up the machine guns, make them stop working. So they would use strictly oil on them. They would keep them oiled, well oiled, so that they fired when they needed them to fire. So that's why we use a satin. They would have been like blued on the receiver, painted black on the shrouds. The shrouds wouldn't have been blued. But for all intents and purposes, I just painted them all satin black. I start out with a flat black so that I can get the inside of the shrouds. I can get that flat black, and then the outside will be satin, which is more like what they would be like, because they wouldn't be able to oil or clean the inside of the shrouds very well. So we have them all built. We have everything painted. Now I'm getting ready to paint the detail colors on. A couple of little things I like to do. The gold leaf here I like to use for the chute, the feed chute. So I'll pop this open and get this going on here. Just need a real little bit. Dip your brush in, wipe the bulk of it off. I already did one coat. Sometimes you need to do two coats if Lee can zoom in there. And just get that so that you get a nice even gold color on there. This would have been like a brass type of thing for wear. I don't know. Sometimes it just looks good to have a couple of different colors, whether it's perfectly scaled. Now, if you're going to be a crazy scale nut, you're obviously doing your own research, and you're probably not watching my how-to videos anyways. So I got that on there. Inside the muzzle here, when the rounds shoot, there would be like a grayish white powder is what would happen. A little bit of black, maybe some copper. You know, they're supposed to have fully jacketed rounds, but that doesn't mean that they did. So we clean the brush off there, and let me get some metallic gray. I'll use that. That's going to give me my grays, a little bit of that metallic-y look.
Let's see if they can get them close together and do a couple of some low passes.
So in this, I'm going to actually going to do what's called bride brushing to get this on, because it would be a powder. It wouldn't be wouldn't want it to look like a paint. So I'll just dip it in. I'll get it on. Then I'll take and I'll just dab the bulk of it off there. And just on the inside, I'd rub it around, get a little on the outside. It's not going to change it a lot. You don't want to do a whole lot. If anything, you want to do multiple coats to get the look that you're going for. So we'll do it on this one again here. Lee zooms in. And you can see it changes it a little bit, and a lot of this stuff is going to need to be subtle. You wouldn't notice it that much on the real stuff, but you would notice it a little bit. I'll go around the outside a little bit too. Get some of that. Let me dip in here again, get a little more on. The key to doing any weathering is to do it in small increments, and keep adding until you get the look that you want. Alright, so I got that done there. I got the silver on. Next, the charging handle. That would be stained or brown. I like to do mine brown, just because I can put them on and paint it after it's on. I don't have to wait until everything's done. So let me get some brown on there. Clean off my brush here. And then I just paint these charging handles brown. Make sure you get all the way around, get the inside good. That looks pretty good to me. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's gonna get that close on it. We'll get the next one here. I don't know if you guys can hear the airplanes in the background, but like I said, we're at the air show here doing this, so people were able to come up while I was building and watch. Both Lee and I built these. Lee was supposed to build the receivers. He started slacking, so I had to help him out. I built the shrouds and the bulk of the receiver.
Yeah, whatever.
Because Lee's lazy.
I am. I'm not gonna lie to you.
So we got those painted. We got the gold on for the feed chute there. We got our little brown, and you can see in the sunlight, I don't know how well, but you can see in the sunlight the gray. It showed up pretty good. You wouldn't want to do much more than that, but there again, if you want it to look more pronounced, for whatever reason, sometimes being more pronounced works too. So just start with small amounts. Add it on. Don't be afraid to do a couple of coats instead of trying to get it in one coat. I did the gold in 2 coats, so the brown's a pretty dark color. It covers pretty easy. So I'm going to talk about some of the other stuff I'm going to do here. We got some smoke and we got some aluminum. And what I'll do with that, I'll do that a little bit later. I gotta let this dry. But we'll be dry brushing the aluminum on, and then we'll be using smoke to make it look more like when you wipe down the gun in the little crevices, you get a lot of oil, it'd be a little shinier. We'll do that with the smoke to give it some different sheens. So I'll be back once this dries, start another video, and we'll do that.
See you guys.
All right, so we're back, getting ready to put on the aluminum. We're gonna dry brush that on. This is when it really starts to take shape, the weathering. Lee would probably say something, but he's filling his face with food right now. He's eating the free brat. I don't know. So
can't blame me.
So we'll take the aluminum, and then after we put the aluminum on, we're gonna use not the gray metallic, not the flat black, but we're gonna use the smoke. And now everybody should use their iPad Pro as a building board.
It scrapes off nicely.
So anyways, we'll get this going. Let me get this shaken up here a bit. Alrighty. So this is another one of those start out light. You can always add more, but it's tougher to take away type of things. I probably really shouldn't use the iPad as my board. I'm pretty sure my wife would get upset with me. Alright, so dip it in, get some on your brush, squeegee as much of it off as you can. This again is going to be the dry brushing, so we'll take and dab it on the towel to get the bulk of it off. And then what you want is you basically want your brush to be dry. You can see it's really not putting anything on my finger. It's going to hit all the spots and it'll get on there as you rub it over. And like I said, you want to start with a small amount first. You can always add more on. I got stuff blowing all over here.
We are doing this outside too, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, this is at one of the local events that we go to. So St. Charles, Illinois, Windy City. So we'll put that on. I got a little too much on there, you can see that. Rub it with some paper towel, get some of it off. Scott can deal with it. There we go. You can see it's starting to get on there. Really what it's doing is just making it look a little more metallic-y, except for this spot where I added too much. But you know, the beauty is with this stuff, I'll go over that a little bit extra with this smoke, and it'll tone that down. You won't see it. Let me get up by the barrel here. You can do some smaller strokes up in some areas, larger strokes, get up in there. A lot of these sharp areas is where you would get a lot of the wear, so put a little extra in those areas. Think about where you handle it at, you know, stuff like that. Let's see here. We got cops coming. I
didn't do it, I swear.
You know, the charging handle, stuff like that, you're gonna get a lot, so put it around the edges there. I got a little too much, so we'll just wipe some of it off there. Tone it down a bit. You know, these are great areas that are gonna show it up in here. Got a little much again, need to dab it off.
And usually it's gonna be your hard corner areas.
Yep, and that's mainly where it's gonna get it. This mechanism is gonna be one of the biggest worn areas up in here. Your sight, stuff like that will get a lot of wear and tear. So your hinge is another thing. Your ejector chute would have a lot of wear and tear on it. I think that's what they call that, right? Mm-hmm. Something like that. You know, the edges of your spring would have a little bit. But just throw it, make it look a little wear and tear. You know, you can always add more. You can't take less off, so you know, do it slow. Add it on. You know, hold it back, see what it looks like, stuff like that. You can always touch up a little bit if you add a little too much to some areas. Get a little
And
more.
times less is more.
Yep. All right, so this one is looking pretty good for me. What do you think, Lee?
I think so. Tell you what, why don't you show them what the one without any weathering to the one with weathering looks
So
like
yeah,
now.
here we go. We got one without weathering, one with weathering. And there's still more to do on this yet. We got another color.
Yep.
I'll tone down some of the areas that I got a little much on.
But it's already taking shape.
Yep, so let me do this one quick. I'll come back when I'm ready to do the next color. We'll get this one done. Don't need to do that live again. You've seen it done once already. So see you in a bit. We'll do some more.
All right.
All right, so I'm back. We got the other gun done. There's a couple of spots that have a little too much silver on. I'm gonna take the metallic gray and I'm gonna try and tone that down a bit. You know, this is a big part of weathering also, just kind of do what you think will work. So I got some of the gray. I'm gonna tone down some of the silver here.
Please come to the registration stand as soon as you can. Let us know if you're interested.
I don't know if it's doing anything, but it's making me feel good anyways.
That order plate. So once again, thanks to all pilots regarding that. That would be great.
That's a little much.
So they have the piece here around 6 o'clock.
I'm gonna wipe some of that off. There again. Okay, so I got some of that done. I'm gonna take the smoke, and if I can't clean those up a little bit with the smoke, I got some flat black I can work with. I got some of the smoke. We'll see what happens there.
Electrodynamic gear, batteries.
So the smoke is basically a gray, clear, or black. Yeah.
Andy is a great guy. And one of the sponsors of our event today. Thank you very much.
You can see that tones it down quite a bit already. And I may have to do a couple of coats. Now remember, the receivers would be a slightly different color from the barrels. Not really caring for how this is coming out here. I guess it's starting to darken up, and we'll let that dry a little bit, put another I may go over it with some dry brush of the black. We'll see what happens here. I don't know how it's showing up in the videos.
Not bad.
Sometimes it doesn't show up the greatest in video. I don't like that.
We're getting a little sheen just because it's wet too.
The dark spots I don't care for. So that kind of dulls it up a little bit, like you put oil on it, you know, stuff like that. It's going to have oil from the engines coming off of it. So we'll let that come off. I'm going to take a little bit of my black to try and cover up some of that. You know, and this is the beauty with it. You know, if you screw up too bad, spray black over it again and start over. I mean, it's not tough. So let's get, and this, I'll do the dry brushing on this too, so that I don't cover everything up. So we'll get on there with some of the black. Never seems to work out perfect when you are doing something live, does it? Or on video, I should say.
Never.
But that's all right.
How you doing? Pretty good.
Good.
Yourself?
It's got a little way too much, so I'm trying to cover the bulk of it up. I can go back over it a little bit. You know, even with us, we're not perfect. People think we do this every day, but we don't. I mean,
Every third day.
yeah. Let's get some of that up at the top there. Just trying to cover up some of my mistakes now. All right. Now you can see this one still has quite a bit of silver there. That would be normal. Those are our hardware part. Let me take my silver and try and touch that one up a little bit. Clean off my brush. Wipe the bulk of it off. Get in my corners a little bit. Now it's starting to look right again. You know, all the ridges is where the bulk of everything would be. Bulk of the wear. Think of it as you're rubbing over it with your hand or something of that sort. All right, so we got it all finished up here. I ran out of space. Looks all right. You know, we kind of rushed it being out in the field, didn't have our normal stuff. Normally I would use some airbrush stuff to do the in here. But you guys get the gist. Do a little bit at a time because it can get away on you pretty quick, as you saw. But there again, if it gets away on you, don't be afraid to throw some black back over it, start over again. It's not the end of the world. All right, that's it. See you guys.
Bye. See you guys.